as space agencies go, NASA is one of the biggest. From its formation in the late 50s, NASA has known that we are not alone. However, the public has been kept in the dark. Not only that, they have even attempted to debunk, classify, or ridicule even the strongest evidence to suggest otherwise. In recent years, Mars has been the focus of many countries' attention. As of February 2021, there are 18 spacecraft operating in Mars orbit, 8 of which are currently active. On the ground, there have been 6 successful robotically operated Mars rovers managed by NASA's JPL, of which 3 are still operational. All this interest for nothing more than a cold, barren desert full of rocks and sand. Previous Mars rover missions, such as Spirit and Opportunity in 2004, Curiosity in 2012, and the latest rover called Perseverance landed in Jezaro crater in February this year, have found nothing. According to NASA, there is no evidence that life ever existed there. This is not true. Scattered all over Mars are architectural ruins that have been photographed with the world's most advanced cameras, from orbit and on the ground, by the various rovers, past and present. They have sampled various rocks, sniffed the atmosphere, and snapped thousands of images of the red planet. And all this being bought and paid for by the taxpayer, and not so much as a microbe found. What do we get for our money? Censored images and lies. You may ask the question, why? Why would the biggest space agency worth trillions of dollars cover up the existence of a previous civilization on Mars? We can't answer that, but it is true. On January of 2018, we embarked on a task so difficult, we, as imaging experts, thought the task was impossible. We wanted to reverse engineer the censoring in NASA images. We wanted to see for ourselves what was there and share our findings with the world. It took 4 years to develop a special process to partly reveal the hidden details in the various rover images. What we found was mind-blowing. We found proof of structures 800 meters high. We have uncovered beautiful architectural ruins, sculptures, and a plethora of mechanical bits and pieces that cannot be explained away as mere pareidolia. It is hard to conceive the true scale of the deception of NASA. In this first of a series of special videos, we will show you in great detail everything we could recover from those censored images of the Perseverance rover, from the very first images to the present day, and let the evidence speak for itself.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Martians and aliens. We're not speciesists on this channel. Everybody's welcome. My name's Alan, and I'd like to welcome you to Mars, the Second Genesis. Just to remind you that all the images we're using in this episode will be available for free download from our Google Drive, and the link will be posted in the description. This is the untouched NASA image we got from the NASA site. And here we have the colour balanced image. And this is the enhanced version. Let's darken it a wee bit, shall we? So let's take a closer look at these rock-like things. Now, I don't believe for a second these are rocks. If we look at this piece here, we've got too perfect a curve. And we've got a non-fractal line here. And if we zoom in, we can see lines here, which are non-fractal. And there's too many straight edges. And if we look at this piece on the left, we again get a nice curve. And we've got non-fractal lines, and the way it comes straight down, and there's a perfect cutout here. So I'm not entirely sure this is rocks. In fact, I would go as far as to say they're not rocks. Let's look at this here. Non-fractal. This seems to go into whatever this is. And we can see a line here, and maybe a bolt or a rivet here. And they could be part of the same thing. They probably are, but I couldn't pull any more detail out of this because they are navcam images. But the saving grace is they're right next to the rover, and they should be absolutely crystal clear, but they're not. NASA has obfuscated it. So to sum up, guys, I would say these look more mechanical than they do natural. So let's take a look at this piece. Now, the first thing you'll notice is we've got a line going right through here. And this piece seems to be attached to this. And we've got this piece sticking up here. If you look closely, you can see this is part of this. So it goes right along, and we've got various bits. If you look at this piece here as well, and we've got a non-fractal line there. I'll just zoom in a wee bit so you can see it. And to me, this is not a rock. And we've got this bit sticks up. So, all in all, I think it's something sticking out the ground or has been heavily obfuscated by NASA. For the cost of these cameras, these things should be pin sharp, and no doubt they are pin sharp when they get them, but by the time they're finished with their obfuscations and all the garbage they put over what's really there, we can't really see very much. So this is about as good as we are going to get. Shame on you, NASA. So this is the next logical navcam image moving to the right of the last image. And this is right next to the rover, as you can see. And here we have the image colour balanced. Okay, let's peel back the curtains and let's see what's really there. And here we have a darker version. And it doesn't look like anything out of the ordinary until we start zooming in and looking at things closely. So let's do that now. What's this? Looks like some sort of metal bracket attached to a rock. Let's have a closer look at that, shall we? Here's one I prepared earlier. I've tried to enhance it as much as possible, but you can see there's a wee hole there. It looks as if part of the bracket is broken off here. there could have been a pin through that, maybe something hinged, or maybe this was attached to something else. But we can clearly see that's intelligently made. It is not a rock or part of a rock. This here is the next area of interest. I'll zoom in and I'll pan through, and you can see it for yourself. Now, if you look closely, very closely, you can actually see something here that NASA's covered up. And this seems to be part of it as well. You can barely see it. There's something mechanical here. And if you look at the shape of this, what people think maybe a sand ripple or sand dune, which it's not, you can see by the shape of it. You know, the way it comes round, like that. And we can see this is something mechanical. You look at this straight piece, and we've got this piece here, which is attached to this, whatever it is, buried. And you can see a clear 90-degree angle there. And if you look very closely at this, you can clearly see there's something below the sand, or NASA has made it look that way, which I would imagine is the truth. And this is our enhanced version. Let's darken it down. Let's remove the garbage. And this looks a bit odd as well. Here, you see it in steps. I don't know any sand dunes or sand ripples that does that. And that's a perfectly straight line here. And we've got something mechanical here. I would imagine that's been put there to hide something. And this is obviously not natural. You can see the non-fractal form there. And if that was a sand dune, it would have fell down, because that is up off the ground. So we can see that's like, looks a bit like a roof to me that's collapsed in. And this is what the image looks like enhanced. I think we'll just darken it down a wee bit. And again, here we have the untouched image. And here we have applied our special process of enhancement. Let's darken it down. And here is NASA's offering. And this is the image colour corrected. And this is what the image looks like enhanced. So let's have a wee look at it a wee bit darker. Now, the navcam images are quite difficult, almost impossible to stitch together. So we're going to look at each pair in turn, starting from left and working our way to the right. So guys, we're going to get into a wee bit of hardcore technical stuff here. So be prepared. We're going to be comparing two images, and I'm going to show you what is real and what is NASA's obfuscations. This image here is one of the navcam images. This is the mastercam image. I have reduced this image to approximately the same size so we can do a comparison. So what I'd like to do is show you how different the obfuscations is in both images. So I'll just zoom in here. Now we can see here this pattern, and let's look at the exact same pattern in the Z mass cam. There they are, side by side. They look nothing like one another. See, there is the rock there. And there's the same rock. This has nothing to do with the fact that the navcam has a lower resolution. It's just a different obfuscation. If you have got two different sets of cameras on the same rover and you take a picture with the different cameras, they're both supposed to look identical. So why have they got texture overlaid and why do they look different? And here's a close-up shot of both side by side. They look nothing like one another. And again, you can see here down at the bottom, the obfuscation is totally different on this one compared to that. And look at the wall here and look at the wall there. It's a totally different pattern on both. So obviously what is the same in both images, we could pretty much say that, yeah, that's there. It's not obfuscations, it's not artifacts. It most likely is going to be the real deal. As you can see here, we've got this line which corresponds to this line, and we've got this faint line here, and we can see something which is raised here, and we've got the same thing here. And look behind at how the obfuscation is so totally different. Now look at this here, and look at the way it's shaped like a roof. And it may well be a roof. And it looks like we've got some shapes on it, and we've got the same here. And look at the way this comes down, and this comes down. And we've got this, whatever it is there, and we've got the same thing here. We've got this section here, which corresponds to that section. We've got this mechanical looking bit. We've got this tube here, which is this. And we've got that tube there, which is that. And we've got some sort of, quite difficult to see, some sort of mechanical machinery thing here. And we see the same thing here. You've got to look very closely. It's quite difficult to see. And we can see a section here, which corresponds to this part. This line here corresponds to that. And we've got this bit, which corresponds to that. That line corresponds to that. Up the top here, we seem to have, that looks like some sort of circular piece. We can barely see it on this one. This curved piece here, which is a wall, corresponds to this. So we can see, in fact, these things are actually there. You know, so we've got 1, 2, 3 separate segments. And we've got this lower level here, which corresponds to this. Here we have a line, which corresponds to this line. It's quite difficult to see, and I hope you can see it on the video. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get rid of the Mastercam image here. And we're going to look a bit wider here to see what we've got. And we can see clearly here that we've got a curved piece, comes right round. And look at how this flows. You can see structural elements there. And it comes round and goes back and joins onto this. And we've got all this here. Now this looks like a circular hatch that all these pipes and cables go into. We come along and we go up and along and up, along, up, along and up. And we keep doing that the further we go back. It's like a stepped structure. This is the area here which was blasted with the rover's rockets when Perseverance landed. And it uncovered all this here. We can clearly see that doesn't look like rocks to me. Could be part of the machinery. This could be part of it. In fact, I think it is. If you look closely, you can see that that's not a rock. So it's very interesting. But the most interesting bit is the fact that we can see the way this comes right round. And this is right next to the rover. And NASA's hiding it. And it's been heavily obfuscated. So we can clearly see shapes here. See this obfuscation, the way it's actually quite comical, the way they're doing this. It's so obvious. Look at the pattern. The way it comes up, along, same pattern, and all they're doing is trying to hide what's there. Now, if we look at this area here, the way this comes up, and we've got holes here, I think this is all metal. You know, and what we're looking at is holes in it, maybe vents, or maybe it's corroded away over the years. See this here? All the lines are all horizontal. If you look at this, the way this has been took slightly off the axis, so you can't see it's all parallel. Look at the top here. We can see that bit's parallel. That line there is parallel to the top of the ruler in Photoshop. That bit's parallel. That's parallel. That's parallel. That's parallel. So all these lines all the way back are all parallel to one another. Even this one here, although it's curved, you can see it's still parallel to everything else. And when you see all the same horizontals, you know that that is structural, because nature doesn't do parallels. So now that we have an understanding of what we're looking at, let's take a look at the same thing in X3D, and we'll be able to see a lot more clearer the steps and the contours of these things. So here we are in the X3D version. You can clearly see the contours. And we can see the way it comes up, along. You can see this curved wall. You can see it comes up in steps. So this is where we roof part. And it's all covered in this texture. But we can see bits and pieces, especially here. bearings here. And over the back here you can see structures, or the top of structures. You can see all these bits of metal. It just looks as if you're looking across the top of structures. See that coming out, coming round, attaching to this. So you can see this, the way this is designed. And this piece actually curves off of that. And it goes down. And you can barely see it, but look at this. It looks like a piece of machinery. And you can see the shredded metal here. I'll just do a wee slideshow to show you some various elements. This is the image without anything done to it. And this is our enhanced version. Let's darken it down a bit. This is the next navcam image we're going to look at. This is the untouched image. And this, guys, is the enhanced version. Let's make it a wee bit darker, shall we? And we're going to take a wee look at this here. Now, as you can see here, we've got something cylindrical here, possibly metallic, and this as well. I don't know what they are, but they certainly are not normal rocks. And at the back here, this looks like a series of structures. At the front here, we seem to have what looks like a series of bricks. These were exposed when the descent stage rockets blew away material when Perseverance landed. For our next navcam image, this is the image without anything done to it. Okay, let's show you what NASA doesn't want you to see. and here we have a darkened version. Now, as you can see at the back, we have what looks like architectural ruins. We've got something raised off the ground here and here. As you see, we've got structures at the back. Our next image is just to the right of these. And here is NASA's offering. You want to see what's really there? And this is enhanced. Let's have a look at a darker version. And at the back here, we have a structure. And this area here, I'll just give you a pan through. When Perseverance started its great adventure, we all saw the images coming down from NASA, and all the images seemed to show a flat, barren landscape. Now that the images has been enhanced, we can clearly see that's not the case. And this, whatever this is, it's obviously raised off the ground. This looks as if it's only a few feet high, but it does have height. We've got this dome-looking thing. Any guesses what it could be? Looks as if it's got some sort of knob on top as well. Well guys, that's all we have for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.